All right, we are doing now section 1.3, writing expressions. Now we need to figure out which operation is being used in these expressions when you're given verbal phrases. So we need to pick out some keywords in each of these operations to know what's going on. So for addition, some words you might see, are sum, plus, total, more than, increased by. Those are a couple examples you might see. A verbal phrase that could be used. Sum of 2 and a number x. So a big goal of ours today is to be able to take a verbal phrase like this and turn it into an algebraic expression. So because it says sum, you know you're using addition. So 2 plus x. Just take the two terms that have the sum, and there you go. Subtraction, some words that might be used. Difference, less than, minus, and decreased by. A verbal phrase that could be used for a subtraction problem. The difference of a number n and 6. So it is tricky with subtraction to know what the order you go in, because if you use difference, it's going to be straightforward. If you're going to use less than, it's going to be backwards. So first we have the difference. That one is straightforward. The difference of n and 6. That's all for that one. Multiplication, some words you might see are times, product, multiplied by, and one that you might not have thought of is just of. An example using of would be 1/3 of a number x. Every time you see the number of or the word of, you're going to use multiplication. So that's just 1/3 x. Division, the word you're going to see, quotient, and divided by, or divided into. The verbal phrase that goes along with that, you're looking at the quotient of a number k and 2. So quotient, division, k divided by 2 can be written either way. Okay, now let's go ahead and translate some verbal phrases into expressions. 4 less than the quantity 6 times a number n. So like I was saying up above with the subtraction, the less than and difference are kind of confusing. This is saying that you have a quantity 6 times a number n, and that you are taking 4 less than that. So if we have 4 less than 6n, we're going to need to subtract it off. If that had said the difference of 4 and the quantity, it would have been backwards, but because it's less than, we need to make sure we put that in the correct order. B, 3 times the sum of 7 and a number y. Well, 3 times, we know there's going to be multiplication, 3 goes first. When it says the sum of like this, we know there's going to be something that follows that goes together. 3 times the sum of 7 and a number y means that 7 and y are going to be held together by parentheses. So don't forget the parentheses. The difference of 22 and a square of a number n. So difference, this is the one that's just straightforward, goes right, right in order. 22 minus the square of a number n. Now that just means you have n squared. Word problem. A piece of ribbon L feet long is cut from a ribbon 8 feet long. Write an expression for the length in feet of the remaining piece. So with word problems, I always think that it's helpful do have a picture. So here's our original piece of ribbon. It is 8 feet long. I'm going to take a piece off of this ribbon. That's L feet long. So we don't know how long that blue piece is, but we do know we want to find out how long this green piece is. If you have 8 feet and you take off L feet, this is 8 minus L. So that is our final answer, 8 minus L feet long. Okay. You work with 5 other people at an ice cream stand. All of the workers put their tips into a jar and they share the amount in the jar equally at the end of the day. Write an expression for each person's share in dollars of the tips. When you have a word problem like this, I find it very helpful to first write out a verbal phrase with just words, no numbers, and then we'll be able to plug everything in later. So let's start with that verbal phrase. The thing that we're dividing, or the thing that we're pulling apart, is how much tips we made. That's total, that's the amount in the jar. And we're taking that amount of tips and we're breaking it up into a number of people. So that's division. The number of workers, so that each worker has an equal share. Okay, so I think that's it. So let's use some algebra. We can put stuff in where we know. We don't know how much is in the jar. That was not given to us. So let's say that is T for tips. And we're dividing that by how many people? Now when you read this right away, people right away go to 5 because that's the number that we're given. But it says you work with 5 other people. So that means 1 plus 5. So T divided by 6. Write an expression. That was it. Okay, now we have unit rates. A unit rate, I will explain as I do this problem. We are taking a car that travels 110 miles in 2 hours. Find the unit rate. So writing this as we normally see 2 hours. As we normally see miles per hour, we're trying to get it to miles per hour. We don't want a 2 on the bottom. This needs to be a 1. Whenever you do a unit rate, whatever's on the bottom needs to be a 1. So how would we make that a 1? We would divide the whole thing by 2, top and bottom. So 110 divided by 2 is 55, and we still need those labels. 2 hours divided by 2 is 1 hour. Now you don't have to write the 1, so it would be okay if we just wrote 55 miles per hour, which is how we're used to seeing it. But if you put the 1 in there, that is not wrong. Last one. Your basic monthly charge for cell phone service is $30, which includes 300 free minutes. You pay a fee for each extra minute that you use. 1 month you paid $3.75 for 15 extra minutes. Find your total bill if you use 22 extra minutes. So if we are trying to set up a verbal model, that gives us the whole bill essentially. We always start with that basic charge of $30, but we're not putting in the numbers yet. Basic charge. We would add on that extra fee based on how many extra minutes you used. So we have to find the rate for the extra minutes, however much it costs per minute. And of course you want to multiply that by the number of minutes that you used. Okay, so that was all words. We don't want to put in any numbers right away. So we know what the basic charge is, but we don't know what our rate is. So it's going to be hard to find our total bill in the end. So we're going to use a piece of information that's inside this problem to figure out that missing piece. This $3.75 for 15 extra minutes, that's going to tell us how much what our rate is for each additional minute. So we're going to divide. 375 divided by 15, you can do that out by hand as well, is a quarter. So now we can put in all the numbers since we know everything. Our basic charge was 30. Rate for extra minutes was a quarter. And how many extra minutes did we use? That's in here as well, 22. Okay, we can multiply that out. And we get 35.50. Okay, that is section 3 of your notes.